The day my family threw me out, they thought they were punishing me. Instead, they gave me the greatest gift of my life. They just didn't know it yet. 200 acres of worthless Texas dirt. My brother Thomas sneered, tossing the deed at me across our father's mahogany desk. Enjoy your inheritance, little sister. Hope you like cactus and rattlesnakes. I'm Emma Carter, and this is how my family's attempt to destroy me made me a millionaire. The Carter family had been Texas royalty for 3 generations. Oil money, old money, the kind of wealth that made people forget my grandfather started as a roughneck on someone else's rig. But now, watching my father sign away my trust fund with steady strokes of his Mont Blanc pen, you'd think we'd always been aristocrats. You've made your choice, Emma, he said, not bothering to look at me. If you won't follow the family plan, you can make your own way. The family plan. Such a simple phrase for such suffocating expectations. Marriage to Bradley Wilson. Merger of our oil companies through holy matrimony. Production of suitable heirs to continue the dynasty. The fact that Bradley was an arrogant, cheating bastard apparently didn't matter. Dad, please, I tried one last time. Bradley's been sleeping with half of Houston. The merger can happen without the marriage. Enough. His fist crashed onto the desk. A few indiscretions are nothing compared to family duty, but you've made your choice. The trust fund goes to Thomas. You get your grandfather's worthless plot out in West Texas, the land he was too stubborn to sell. My mother sat in the corner, martini in hand at 10 a.m., carefully studying her manicure. Really, Emma, you're being dramatic. Bradley's a good match. Every family has its arrangements. I looked at them, my father with his cold eyes, my mother in her perfect Channel suit, Thomas smirking like he'd just won the lottery. In a way, he had. My trust fund would have been worth millions. Fine, I said, picking up the deed. Keep your money, keep your precious merger. Keep Bradley. I'll take Grandpa's land. Thomas laughed. Good luck surviving on rocks and dust. Maybe you can eat the tumbleweeds. I walked out of that office with nothing but a piece of paper, my college degree, and the keys to my paid-off Jeep. They'd already frozen my credit cards and bank accounts. By sunset, they expected me to come crawling back, begging forgiveness, ready to marry Bradley and play my part. They didn't know me at all. 3 hours later, I pulled up to a rusty gate marking the entrance to my new property. The land stretched to the horizon, nothing but scrub brush and mesquite trees as far as I could see. A small cabin, weathered but solid, stood about half a mile from the gate. This was where my grandfather had spent his last years. Everyone said he'd gone crazy, refusing million-dollar offers for this worthless plot. The family wrote it off as the stubborn pride of an old man who couldn't accept that his little piece of Texas had no value. The cabin's key was right where Grandpa had told me it would be, years ago, in one of our secret conversations. Under a fake rock by the back door, along with a letter addressed to me. Dear Emma, if you're reading this, you've probably done something the family doesn't approve of. Good for you. The Carters forgot where they came from, but you've got the real oil in your veins. Grit, determination, and smarts. This land isn't what they think. I've left everything you need to know in my study. The combination to the safe is your birthday. Trust yourself, little wildcat. Love, Grandpa. I felt tears prick my eyes. Grandpa had been gone 3 years, but he'd known. Somehow, he'd known I'd end up here. The cabin was basic but clean. Solar panels on the roof still worked, providing power for lights and a small window unit. A propane tank fed the stove and water heater. It wasn't luxury, but it was livable. Grandpa's study was a small room lined with maps and geological surveys. In the floor safe, I found more maps, detailed notebooks, and a thick folder labeled Core Samples, 2019. I spent that first night reading through everything, my college geology degree finally proving useful for something besides disappointing my parents. The more I read, the more my hands shook. Seismic surveys, geological assessments, core sample analyses, all pointing to one incredible possibility. My phone buzzed. Thomas, probably calling to gloat or check if I was ready to give up. I declined the call and kept reading. At dawn, I made coffee and walked out onto the porch. The rising sun painted the desert in shades of gold and purple. This land wasn't worthless. Far from it. Grandpa hadn't been crazy. He'd been clever. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Bradley. Emma, babe, don't be stupid. Just come back. We can work this out. Your father's already drawn up the new trust fund papers. All you have to do is say yes. I looked at the geological reports spread across the kitchen table, then back at the vast expanse of my inheritance. No thanks, Bradley. I think I'll take my chances with the tumbleweeds. Don't be ridiculous. What are you going to do out there alone? Farm rocks? I smiled, thinking of Grandpa's detailed notes. Something like that. Goodbye, Bradley. I spent the next week studying everything Grandpa had left behind. The man everyone had dismissed as a senile old fool had spent his final years meticulously documenting what lay beneath this worthless land. But I needed help to prove it. More importantly, I needed someone who wouldn't run straight to my family with the information. That's when I remembered David Martinez. He'd been 2 years ahead of me at UT Austin, studying petroleum engineering while I studied geology. Last I heard, he'd started his own consulting firm specializing in independent oil prospecting. And most importantly, he'd never run in the same circles as my family. I found his number and dialed, heart pounding. David, it's Emma Carter. Remember me from UT. Listen, I've got a proposition for you. How'd you like to help me prove my whole family wrong? There was a pause, then a chuckle. Emma Carter asking for help? This I've got to hear. I took a deep breath. I've got 200 acres in West Texas and some interesting geological surveys. Want to come take a look? Off the record, of course. Send me the coordinates. I'll be there tomorrow. I hung up and looked out at my land, my empire in waiting. Grandpa had known exactly what he was doing when he left this to me. He'd known I was the only one who would bother to look past the surface. My family thought they were punishing me by taking away their money and giving me this worthless land. But Grandpa's letter kept running through my mind. You've got the real oil in your veins. Soon they'd learn just how right he was. David arrived the next morning in a dusty pickup truck loaded with equipment. He looked exactly as I remembered from college. Practical, no nonsense, and smart as hell. Emma Carter living in a cabin, he grinned, shaking his head. Never thought I'd see the day. I spread Grandpa's maps across the kitchen table. What do you make of these? He studied them for a long moment, his expression changing from curiosity to surprise to barely contained excitement. Your grandfather did all this? He pointed to the detailed surveys. These are professional grade, and these core samples. He looked up at me. Emma, if these readings are accurate, I need you to verify them. I cut in, independently, with new equipment and fresh eyes. He nodded slowly. It'll take a few days, and it won't be cheap. I pulled out an envelope. 5,000 now, 15 more if you find what I think is down there. And David? Not a word to anyone. For the next week, David and his small team conducted new surveys. They brought in ground-penetrating radar, took fresh core samples, ran comprehensive tests. I watched them work, my heart pounding every time they exchanged significant looks or whispered conversations. Finally, David called me out to their mobile lab. You might want to sit down, he said, pulling up complex diagrams on his laptop. Your grandfather wasn't just right, he was more right than he probably knew. The technical terms washed over me. Porosity ratings, pressure tests, depth calculations. But the bottom line was clear. We were sitting on top of one of the largest untapped oil deposits in West Texas. Conservative estimate? David looked me in the eye. About 300 million barrels. Could be more, much more. I gripped the edge of the table. At current prices, that meant roughly $24 billion, David said quietly, reading my mind. Give or take $1 billion. My phone buzzed. Thomas again. I've been ignoring calls from my family all week. This time I answered. Finally given up on your little camping trip, he sneered. Actually, I'm rather enjoying it. How's the merger going? He paused. What do you know about the merger? Only what everyone knows. Bradley's company is over-leveraged, desperately needs cash flow. Dad's company has the cash but needs new drilling rights. Match made in heaven, right? Just come home, Emma. This rebellion has gone on long enough. I looked at David's laptop screen, at the billions of dollars mapped out in neat geological surveys. Sorry, Thomas. I'm a bit busy with my worthless dirt. Good luck with Bradley. The next month was a blur of activity. David helped me incorporate my own company, Wild Tomcat Energy, named after Grandpa's nickname for me. We filed drilling permits, negotiated with equipment suppliers, and most importantly, kept everything quiet. Then came the morning I'd been waiting for. I was in my cabin's kitchen when multiple vehicles came roaring up the dirt road. A cloud of dust revealed my father's Mercedes, Thomas's Range Rover, and Bradley's ridiculous Ferrari struggling with the unpaved track. "What the hell is this?" my father demanded, storming onto my porch and waving a paper. It was a copy of my drilling permit application. "Public record, of course." "Private property," I said calmly. "You're trespassing." "Like hell we are. You're drilling on family land." "No," I cut him off. "I'm drilling on my land. The land you so generously gave me, remember?" Bradley pushed forward. "Baby, let's be reasonable. You don't know anything about oil extraction." "Actually," David stepped out of the cabin, "she knows quite a bit. Geology degree from UT Austin, remember? The one you all said was worthless." "Who is this?" Thomas demanded. "David Martinez, Chief Operations Officer of Wild Tomcat Energy." He smiled. "Also the person who verified that this worthless plot is sitting on roughly 300 million barrels of oil." The color drained from their faces. That's impossible," my father stammered. "We had this land surveyed years ago." "No," I corrected him. "You had the neighboring plots surveyed. Grandpa kept this piece quiet. He knew what was here. He was just waiting for someone smart enough to find it." "Now see here," my father's face reddened. "You can't." "Can't what?" I interrupted. "Can't drill on my own property. Can't start my own company. Can't refuse to marry a cheating bastard to save his failing company." Bradley stepped forward. "Emma, be reasonable. We can work something out." "Like what, Bradley? A merger?" I smiled sweetly. "Actually, I've been talking to your board of directors. They're very interested in a different kind of deal, one that doesn't involve a marriage." His face went pale. "You wouldn't." "I would. In fact, I did. The paperwork goes through next week. Wild Tomcat Energy will be acquiring controlling interests in Wilson Oil. Turns out when you're sitting on $24 billion worth of oil, banks are very eager to help finance acquisitions." "$24 billion?" Thomas choked. "Give or take $1 billion," David added helpfully. My mother finally spoke up from where she'd been standing by the Mercedes. "Darling, we're family. Surely we can discuss this reasonably." "Family?" I laughed. "You mean the people who threw me out? Who tried to force me to marry a cheating fraud? Who mocked Disinheritance as worthless?" I shook my head. "No, Mother. You're not family. You're just people I used to know." "You'll regret this," my father growled. "We'll contest the deed." "Go ahead." I cut him off. "The deed's ironclad. Grandpa made sure of that. You signed it over in front of witnesses, remember? Your big dramatic gesture." David stepped forward. "I suggest you leave. We have work to do." They stood there, speechless, as the first drilling equipment began arriving. Massive trucks kicked up dust clouds as they rolled through the front gate. Teams of workers began unloading gear. The future was arriving, and they weren't part of it. "Goodbye," I said firmly. "Don't bother calling. I'll be too busy eating tumbleweeds." 6 months later, I stood on my cabin's porch watching the sunset paint the oil derricks in shades of gold. The first wells were producing beyond our wildest expectations. Wild Tomcat Energy was worth billions, and Bradley's former company was now just another subsidiary in my growing empire. My phone buzzed with another text from Thomas. "Please, Emma, just talk to us. We're family." I deleted it without responding. Family isn't about blood or money or business mergers. It's about trust, respect, and seeing value in someone beyond what they can do for you. Grandpa had seen that value in me. He'd known exactly what he was doing when he left me this worthless land. He'd known I'd be the one to understand its true worth, not just the oil beneath it, but the freedom it represented. David walked up, holding 2 cups of coffee. "First quarter profits are in. The board's going to be very happy." I took my cup, smiling. "Think we should send my family a Christmas card? Maybe a nice photo of the derricks." He laughed. "Nina, success is the best revenge." Besides, he gestured at the thriving oil field before us. "I think they get the picture. They tried to bury me in worthless dirt. Instead, I'd built an empire. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving people wrong. It's proving yourself right." I sipped my coffee and watched my derricks pump away, each stroke bringing up not just oil, but vindication. The land wasn't worthless after all, and neither was I.